Hello everybody and welcome back to Video Game Therapy, episode 28. Kinda epic. We're like more than halfway through a year of video game therapies and it's been consistent. Anyway, today we're back with more, Mark talks about his half-baked philosophical ideas and arguably reveals a bit too much about himself on a video on the internet. Today I wanted to talk about setbacks, is the short of it. Let me take a sip of water. I just got back from a run, but it's like 15 degrees outside, so my lungs are kind of suffering. I will try to cough away from the camera, but don't worry, I don't have COVID or anything. Larynx just feels a bit constricted, which is nice. So, little context for you, because I have a shoulder injury, at least had. Well, I consider myself to still have one. Jeez, this is tough. If you can't go through, go around. And essentially, my shoulders have been misplaced for a very long time. If you look up boxer shoulder, you'll find like one article that kind of sums it up. But I did a few things at the same time that really exacerbated the issue to a dangerous degree, and I noticed that I couldn't. Mobility in my shoulder was limited, and I went to see a doctor, and they said see an actual doctor, and then they were like, go to PT. And my PT was very revealing, and my shoulders are both kind of effed, but I'm working on it. In case you're interested, my pecs are too tight and my back muscles are too long, so my shoulders are inclined to go forward. It's kind of like if you're wearing a backpack, and you kind of hunch your shoulders to have the straps a bit tighter, like that. My shoulders are like that all the time, and they should be back. My chicken wings, my scapulae, backbones should be together, but they're not. Anyway, so back in September when my first full semester of Zoom University began, there were a few differences that I need to keep in mind. First of all, I didn't have a normal fitness routine because the prior fall I was boxing every morning and doing karate, but this time I was doing karate remote, and I wanted to do something to keep my fitness up because I realized it was dropping, and I didn't want to, keep doing keto, worry about my diet in other ways. So I did this Boxer Prime thing in level 3, and I was pretty fit at the time. And I was doing well. Some of the exercises would constitute around 250 push-ups a day, spread out over the course of like an hour or so, and I would successfully do them. The problem is, because of the shoulder thing, my form was horrible. My shoulders were coming too far forward, and one day I did like 8 push-ups, and I was like, what's happening? Doctor, PT had to stop. Essentially, I haven't done push-ups since. I've done like a few here and there just to be like, ooh, can I still do this? But it's kind of dangerous to do because I was strengthening my pecs and I didn't need to. I shouldn't have. They were far too tight, pulling my shoulders forward. So I need to work on them and putting them back. So this meant no karate, none of this, body weight workout thing, no martial arts, no push-ups, everything, everything. And I took that excuse kind of far to the point where I just wasn't working out. Also relevant, I do archery, and I haven't shot for a while, but I've been wanting to go back. And if you can imagine archery, it requires a little bit of shoulder action. I'm a lefty. In other words, when I draw back my bow, my left hand is what draws the string back, and my left shoulder is the one that was injured, or is injured mostly. They're both a little wonky, but I have full mobility in my left shoulder now. Anyway, the other day, my mom got a call from an old friend who lives quote-unquote nearby, and they were going for a walk, and this friend has a decently big property, and they have an archery range. And my mom was talking to them on the phone. They were talking about horseback riding, and I was walking out for my run or something, or maybe I was going to 7-Eleven, and I was like, haha, it's on my bucket list to shoot an arrow off the back of a horse. And then I left, and I came back, and my mom was like, hey. And I'm living with my mom because I'm in college, studying from home. Gotta love it. Mom was like, hey, so they have an archery range. And I was like, frick yeah. She's like, on Monday, we're going on a walk. And I was like, yeah. Or she's like, do you want to come with? They'll show you around the archery range. And I was like, sweet. And on Monday before we left, I put together my bow, because it's a takedown bow, which means you can take it apart. And I tried to pull it back, and my shoulder it didn't break or anything, but I was like, I'm gonna be able to shoot maybe 12 arrows and I will either ruin my shoulder, like I will damage it again because I don't know how to draw back properly, or I'll just be too weak. In other words, the lack of working out for the past 6 months, specifically my shoulders, bad move. Now I've run every day for the past 4 days. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. My point here is this was this moment of, wow, I've really, took the shoulder excuse and like pulled it took it way too far. And we can make the best progress in the world, but one setback can stop our momentum. And once our momentum is stopped, because habits are built off of frequency, right? You do something consistently and frequent, and you will build up to doing it. Usually the intrinsic motivation is what boosts us to do habits, and it keeps us going for the first 10 or 15 days, but then we have habits to carry us the rest of the way. 60 days, whatever, the rest of the habits aside. The point, excuse me, the reason I wanted to bring this to VGT, because that's kind of the end of the context. This is the setback that that's recently triggered 3 morning runs. I didn't go this morning because it was 7 degrees, and I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go. No, it was about an hour and a half ago, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do 4 laps again. In about 1.5 miles. So, the thing, I went to see PT last week. I think it was on a Tuesday. Today's Friday, by the way, Friday evening. And I asked my PT a question, because I started going back to karate, which is online. It's 2 times a week, and I'm only going once a week at the moment, because I don't know. It puts a lot of pressure to do things correct, and that means form back to old habits. But anyway, I told my PT, there's this thing we do in karate. One of the stances requires our elbows to kind of come in. Imagine, I don't really know how to explain it, and I pretty much said, I can't pull my elbows to the right position unless I bring my shoulders down and in front of me. And she looks at me and she says, okay, that's a great question, because you should be able to do that without pulling your shoulders down and in front of you. And she said, this is my favorite kind of situation, is when people come in with injuries that prevents them from doing something that they want to do. Because, and I totally agree, if you told, my mom's told me for years, don't hunch my shoulders forward while I carry my backpack or keep a straight posture. But it's as soon as things are prevented from doing, we are prevented from doing the things that we enjoy doing, i.e. proper karate form, that's when we pay attention. That's when it's too late. And so it brought me to what I believe will be the approximation of the title for this video, assuming whatever fits. People will only miss things. Frick, what is it? People, wait. This is awkward. My brain's a little slow right now. People don't know what they miss until it's taken away. Brilliant, there it is. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about that. I had to look up the exact wording because it was bugging me, but people only miss things once they are taken away. And people only miss what's important to them. My shoulder thing, I didn't give it too much attention until I realized that I should be doing karate properly without essentially breaking the form of my shoulders. And the question of, I think it was last week or the week before, it was, how do you know when you miss someone? When you lose them. How do you know, oh shoot, I totally lost my train of thought. Damn. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this is unprofessional. Killing my vibe here, brain. Anyway, yeah, the point was that I was only paying so much attention to my shoulders. I only brought up this question to my PT, and I'm only doing my exercises every day because it's taken away something from me that I've loved doing. That is the core of who I am. That is at the core of who I am, I should say. Back at the end of 2019, I, in essence, changed my entire identity, or at least a lot of my identity. And I'm changing a lot of my identity recently, too. And so when you lose a part of your identity, it's really tough. And these things set us back. And for example, my shoulder sets me back because it pulled me away from the things that I have defined myself by or define myself with. So another example, now that I think about it, might be when I am studying computer science, but at the start of my freshman year, I loved coding. I thought it was fun. I took data structures and I had fun. And I learned after the fact that people dread it, and apparently data structures is the class that makes or breaks you as a CS major, but I enjoyed coding. I had a lot of fun with it. But then I took algorithms, and my professor was great, but I was like, this kind of isn't great. And so I started losing what coding meant to me, I guess. And so that I kind of lost myself a little bit. And then I found I found linguistics first, and that was really identifying with. But then I found game design and game development. I thought, you know what, this is where I want to use my coding knowledge, right? To put together these different hobbies to make a game. So that being said, if there's something that has set you back recently, what part of your identity is it tied to? After I lost a bunch of weight, part of my identity was kind of being a not heavy person, I guess, but being a leaner person, I don't know. It was part of being a martial artist though. Like, the weight itself wasn't the issue. I finally decided to lose weight. One of the big reasons I decided to lose weight was because it was hindering my ability to do martial arts. It was hindering my ability to do karate. It was hindering my ability to actually do things. I didn't really have a negative body image, but it was hindering my ability to do something I identified with, and that was what was tough. My shoulder, I picked up my bow, and I couldn't pull it back confidently knowing I would be fine. I was scared that I was going to hurt myself to a point where I needed to stop everything again. And so I said, I didn't go to the archery range that day, which might be obvious, but and so just in the past few days, I told myself, sorry, my messenger's going off and I don't know why. Very odd. I told myself, all right, I'm going to use these resistance bands that I got recently and try and strengthen my shoulders a little bit. I'm going to look at proper stretches. I'm going to get back into running because right now running is the only thing I know how to do. Excuse me. That isn't hurting my shoulder. Not to mention I found that I was walking wrong, to put it one way. I mean, I was walking correctly, but my PT, we've been working on my stance, because boxing stance, there's a lot of torque involved in some martial arts that I do. And so I'm learning all these different ways my physical body has been working, but not properly all this time. And I don't know, that's kind of it for today. My call to action for you as a listener, as a viewer, is if you feel as though something is set back or you're missing something, try and look either deeper or more generally at what part of your identity it might be threatening. So, for example, I was having a really difficult time with basic algorithms. It's not because I didn't like the math, just because it was threatening my identity as a programmer. And I didn't know why I wanted to code. It certainly wasn't algorithms. With my shoulder, archery and martial arts is a part of who I am, and once those were taken away, it's not the shoulder that was the issue. I mean, that's the thing I have responsibility over, but it's the thing that's most damaging to my soul, dare I say, was the fact that it took away karate and archery from me. It's in my control to work on my shoulder, right? It's not in my control to undo what happened to it already or whatever. The game's lagging, but okay. I'm trying to think of a few other examples. Can I bring YouTube into this somehow? Not really. I mean, I'm having a weird crisis where like people are finding my YouTube channel and I'm like, and they're like, dude, it's on your Discord profile. I'm like, I know, but it's still weird. Dude, it's on your Instagram. I know, but it's still weird. I don't know. I'm trying to think of my own identity, but yeah. So if something feels like it's setting you back in life, what's it tied to in terms of your identity? That's my question to you. School feels lackluster. Can you tie it to something else that's stronger? Yeah. Thanks for watching and or listening. Apologies for the coughing and the losing my train of thought in the middle there. That was unfortunate, but I do appreciate you. At the bare minimum, VGT will be staying up this upcoming, half of the year. I'm going to be trying to stream most evenings because I want to do analysis game videos, but those are my only 2 priorities now. Is just analysis videos once a month and video game therapy every Saturday. So have a good one, and as always, don't forget to stay awesome.